Your one click on the subscribe button makes a huge difference. Thank you for your kind support.
In a charming romantic comedy, Love in the Clouds, we're introduced to Brooklyn, a Seattle business reporter who longs to break free from the dry, factual reporting of her current position. Brooklyn works at Channel 5 KSCT News in Seattle, where she often tries to inject some personality and humor into her segments. We see this early on when she reports on a coffee shop using coffee puns like, "You'll love it a latte." While viewers enjoy her personality, her stern boss Mary isn't pleased, warning Brooklyn that she's already received 2 strikes for her unprofessional approach. One more, and she'll be out. Brooklyn confides in her camerawoman and best friend Elise that she dreams of becoming a lifestyle reporter where she can showcase more of her personality and creativity. When the station's regular lifestyle reporter Dwight has a family emergency, Brooklyn unexpectedly gets her chance. Mary assigns Brooklyn to cover the International Balloon Fiesta in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a week-long event featuring hundreds of colorful hot air balloons. Despite being terrified of heights, Brooklyn jumps at this opportunity to prove herself as a lifestyle reporter. With hotel rooms completely booked due to the festival, Mary arranges for Brooklyn and Elise to stay with a local hot air balloon pilot named Jared Troy. Jared runs Love in the Air, a company specializing in romantic balloon rides, particularly for marriage proposals and couples celebrating special occasions. Mary tells Brooklyn that Jared specifically requested his personal life not be part of the story, which immediately makes Mary suspicious. She instructs Brooklyn to dig deeper and find out what Jared is hiding, believing there's a story there. Upon arriving in Albuquerque, Brooklyn and Elise are surprised to meet Jared, who isn't the older man they expected, but rather a handsome, charming pilot in his 30s. Jared welcomes them into his spacious home, and there's an immediate chemistry between him and Brooklyn, though both try to keep things professional. While Brooklyn connects with Jared, Elise hits it off with Carlos, Jared's cousin and ballooning assistant. We soon learn that Jared comes from a ballooning family. His parents, Jane and Brad, are both experienced balloon pilots. Brad recently retired from running his Taekwondo studio, but seems restless and unfulfilled in retirement. Jane is concerned about her husband's well-being as he seems to have lost his purpose, no longer teaching martial arts or flying balloons. This subplot about Jared's parents enriches the story, showing a mature relationship that's going through a difficult transition. On their first full day at the Balloon Fiesta, unfavorable winds result in a yellow flag, meaning the balloons can't launch. This gives Jared an opportunity to show Brooklyn around Albuquerque. Though initially hesitant to leave in case the winds change, Jared's father Brad offers to take his place if the green flag is raised, allowing Jared and Brooklyn to spend the day together. Their tour includes riding the Sandia Peak Tramway, terrifying for Brooklyn with her fear of heights, sampling new Mexican cuisine, including the famous green chili, and browsing local art. Throughout their day together, Brooklyn notices that despite owning a business centered around romance, Jared seems cynical about love. When she asks about the couples who've gotten engaged on his balloon rides, Jared dismissively remarks that statistically speaking, many of them probably aren't even together anymore. Brooklyn finds this contradiction intriguing, a man who sells romantic experiences but doesn't believe in love himself. During their conversations, Brooklyn learns that Jared's skepticism stems from personal heartbreak. He reveals that his former best friend Turner and his ex-fiancée Amber betrayed him. Jared had proposed to Amber in a hot air balloon, but she later left him for Turner, who was also his business partner. This triple betrayal, losing his fiancée, best friend, and business all at once, caused Jared to close himself off to love and relationships. Meanwhile, Mary keeps calling Brooklyn for updates, pressuring her to focus her story on Jared's cynicism about love despite selling romantic balloon rides. Brooklyn becomes increasingly uncomfortable with this angle, especially as she develops genuine feelings for Jared. She appreciates how he encourages her to face her fears and admires his passion for ballooning and helping others experience joy. The next day at the Balloon Fiesta, the winds are again unfavorable. Brooklyn and Elise capture footage of the event and interview Jared about the technical aspects of hot air ballooning. Brooklyn also has meaningful conversations with Jared's mother, Jane, who shares wisdom about relationships based on her long marriage to Brad. Jane explains that she and Brad are working through their own challenges since his retirement, but emphasizes that every relationship has rough patches. She tells Brooklyn that her husband encouraged her to follow her passion for teaching rather than pursue accounting as her parents wanted, illustrating how true love supports personal growth. That evening, Brooklyn, Elise, Jared, and Carlos attend the Balloon Glow, where pilots light their burners after dark, creating a magical display of glowing balloons against the night sky. The atmosphere is romantic, and Brooklyn and Jared grow closer. Jared gives Brooklyn a beautiful turquoise necklace that had caught her eye earlier, telling her it can remind her of the New Mexico sky and her own strength in facing her fears. At dinner with Jared's parents, Brooklyn observes the loving but strained relationship between Jane and Brad. Brad admits he's lost some purpose since retiring, and Jane expresses that she just wants him to be happy. This leads to a heartfelt conversation where Brad decides to return to ballooning part-time with Jared's company, giving him back a sense of purpose while still enjoying retirement. This subplot beautifully illustrates that love requires both partners to be fulfilled as individuals before they can be happy together, a lesson that parallels Brooklyn and Jared's developing relationship. The climactic moment comes when Brooklyn, inspired by Jared's encouragement and wanting to conquer her greatest fear, decides to go up in a hot air balloon despite her terror of heights. Jared pilots the balloon, talking her through her anxiety with patience and support. As they float above Albuquerque in a mass ascension with hundreds of other colorful balloons, Brooklyn is overcome with emotion. She finds herself falling for Jared and impulsively kisses him mid-flight. Rather than pulling away, Jared reciprocates, showing he's developing feelings for her too. After they land safely, the group celebrates with the traditional champagne toast that follows balloon rides. Jared explains this tradition dates back to 18th century France, when farmers were frightened by the strange flying contraptions landing in their fields. Pilots began offering champagne as a peace offering, beginning a tradition that continues today. This moment symbolizes how traditions and stories enrich our lives and connect us to the past, just as Brooklyn and Jared's new relationship connects them to a hopeful future. That evening, Jared and Brooklyn have a meaningful conversation by his backyard fire pit. Jared opens up more about his past heartbreak and admits he's afraid of being hurt again. Brooklyn shares that while she's afraid of many things like heights, she's never been afraid to open her heart. She gently suggests that perhaps Jared's fear of emotional vulnerability might lead to regrets later in life. The next morning, their budding romance faces a crisis. While Brooklyn is on the phone with her demanding boss Mary, Jared overhears part of the conversation where Mary mentions focusing the story on the jaded pilot who sells romantic balloon rides. Mistakenly believing Brooklyn has been using him just to get a sensational story, Jared feels betrayed and pulls away. Brooklyn tries to explain that she was refusing Mary's direction, not agreeing to it, but Jared, triggered by his past betrayal, won't listen. As Brooklyn and Elise prepare to return to Seattle on their final day, Brooklyn is heartbroken. She doesn't want to leave things unresolved with Jared or return to a job that doesn't fulfill her. Inspired by everything she's learned in New Mexico, Brooklyn decides to create her own story. Not the cynical expose Mary wanted, but a sincere, personal reflection on how her experiences with ballooning and meeting Jared helped her overcome her fears and find a new perspective on life and love. With Elise's help, Brooklyn creates a beautiful segment about the parallels between hot air ballooning and life. How both require you to sometimes surrender control, navigate unexpected winds, and face bumpy landings with courage. She speaks from the heart about finding joy, conquering fears, and being open to love and new experiences. She concludes by encouraging viewers to follow their passion wherever it may lead. After returning to Seattle, Brooklyn is thrilled to discover her segment has gone viral online. When Mary calls, instead of congratulating her, she reprimands Brooklyn for making herself part of the story. Despite the segment's popularity, Mary criticizes Brooklyn's approach and reminds her she's on her final warning. In a moment of clarity and courage, Brooklyn quits her job, choosing to prioritize her happiness and creative freedom over security in a position that doesn't value her talents. Almost immediately after quitting, Brooklyn receives a call from a New Mexico television station offering her a lifestyle reporting position. They loved her balloon Fiesta segment and want to bring her creative approach to their team. This opportunity would allow Brooklyn to return to New Mexico, pursue her professional passion, and potentially rekindle her relationship with Jared. Meanwhile, in Albuquerque, Jared's father shows him Brooklyn's viral segment. Jared realizes he misunderstood Brooklyn's intentions and that she actually protected him by refusing to tell the story Mary wanted. He's also stunned to see that his business is getting nonstop bookings thanks to Brooklyn's heartfelt coverage. Just as he decides to drive to the airport to apologize to Brooklyn before she leaves, she appears at his door. Brooklyn explains that she quit her job and has been offered a position in New Mexico, which she's accepted. She tells Jared that home is where your joy is, and she's found a new home in Albuquerque. This vulnerable admission leads to a heartfelt reconciliation and kiss, showing that both Brooklyn and Jared have conquered their respective fears. Brooklyn's physical fear of heights and Jared's emotional fear of opening his heart again. The movie concludes several months later, with Brooklyn now settled in Albuquerque and working at her new job. Jared has arranged a special balloon ride, supposedly for his parents to renew their vows. Once airborne, Brooklyn realizes they're in a separate balloon from Jared's parents. Jared delivers a touching proposal, expressing how Brooklyn's openness, passion, and vulnerability helped him fall in love again. He appreciates how she simultaneously lifts him up and keeps him grounded, and he can't imagine navigating life without her as his co-pilot. Touched by his words, Brooklyn accepts his proposal, reflecting on how Jared helped her conquer her fears. She observes that alone she was afraid of heights, but with him, she feels she can do anything. Jared's parents witness the proposal from their nearby balloon, with Jane happily declaring that she knew love was in the air. The film ends with the newly engaged couple kissing in their balloon basket as they float above the beautiful New Mexico landscape, symbolizing how they've both risen above their fears to find love. Love in the Clouds beautifully explores several meaningful themes through its charming love story. The most prominent theme is overcoming fear. Brooklyn begins the movie terrified of heights, but gradually gains courage through Jared's patient support. Her journey from gripping the tram railing in terror to willingly boarding a hot air balloon represents her growing confidence and willingness to step outside her comfort zone. Similarly, Jared must overcome his fear of emotional vulnerability after being hurt in the past. His journey from cynicism to openness parallels Brooklyn's physical journey of conquering her fear of heights. The film also thoughtfully explores the theme of passion and purpose. Brooklyn is passionate about storytelling, but feels constrained in her current position. When she finally creates a heartfelt segment that reflects her true voice, it resonates with viewers and leads to a job that aligns with her passion. Similarly, Brad loses his sense of purpose after retirement until he reconnects with his passion for ballooning. The film suggests that finding and following your passion is essential for personal fulfillment. Another important theme is authenticity and staying true to oneself. Brooklyn must choose between following her boss's directive to create a sensationalized story or staying true to her values. By choosing authenticity, she not only preserves her relationship with Jared, but also finds professional success on her own terms. The message is clear. Compromising your values for short-term gain isn't worth the cost to your integrity and relationships. The movie also offers wisdom about relationships through both the young romance between Brooklyn and Jared and the mature marriage of Jane and Brad. Jane's observation that you have to be happy and fulfilled in yourself before you can be happy in a relationship highlights the importance of individual wholeness within partnerships. Brad's restlessness after retirement affects their marriage until he reclaims his sense of purpose, showing how personal fulfillment contributes to relationship health. The backdrop of the International Balloon Fiesta provides not just spectacular visuals, but also rich metaphors for life and love. As Jared explains, balloonists can only control going up or down. The rest is up to the wind. This serves as a perfect analogy for relationships and life in general. We can control certain aspects, but must also learn to adapt to circumstances beyond our control. The unpredictability of ballooning, waiting for favorable winds, navigating changing conditions, experiencing bumpy landings, mirrors the unpredictability of love and life's journey. New Mexico itself becomes almost a character in the film, with its unique cuisine featuring green chili, the distinctive turquoise jewelry, the breathtaking vistas, and the special cultural traditions like luminarias at Christmas. The film celebrates this vibrant setting while using it to highlight Brooklyn's journey from outsider to someone who feels at home in this new environment. The contrasting imagery of cloudy Seattle versus sunny New Mexico reinforces Brooklyn's transition from a place where she feels constrained to one where she can shine. The film also explores the theme of taking risks versus playing it safe. Brooklyn's decision to quit her secure job without having another lined up represents a leap of faith that ultimately pays off. Similarly, Jared must risk his heart again despite having been hurt before. The message is that while risks can lead to failure or pain, they're also necessary for growth and finding true happiness. As Brooklyn reflects, she fears being on her deathbed with regrets more than she fears taking chances in the present. Love in the Clouds demonstrates the power of supportive relationships in helping us become our best selves. Jared supports Brooklyn in facing her fears, while she encourages him to open his heart again. Brooklyn helps Elise pursue her interest in Carlos, while Elise supports Brooklyn's career aspirations. Jane and Brad support each other through the challenges of his retirement. This web of supportive relationships shows how the right people in our lives can help us grow beyond our self-imposed limitations. The ending of the film brings all these themes together beautifully. The balloon proposal symbolizes how both Brooklyn and Jared have risen above their fears. Their decision to build a life together in New Mexico represents choosing passion and authentic living over playing it safe. When Brooklyn says she feels she can do anything with Jared by her side, it highlights how the right partnership can empower us rather than restrict us. The final image of the couple floating in a balloon basket surrounded by the vast New Mexico sky suggests the limitless possibilities ahead when we face our fears and open our hearts. In conclusion, Love in the Clouds delivers a heartwarming story about finding courage, following passion, and opening oneself to love. Through the parallel journeys of Brooklyn and Jared, the film shows how confronting our fears, whether physical fears like heights or emotional fears like vulnerability, can lead to personal growth and unexpected joy. The hot air balloon serves as both a literal setting and a powerful metaphor for the uplifting nature of love and the courage required to surrender control. By the time Brooklyn and Jared become engaged in the clouds above Albuquerque, viewers understand that their romance isn't just about falling in love, but about helping each other become braver, more authentic versions of themselves. In learning to navigate the unpredictable winds of life together, they found not just romance, but a true partnership that keeps them simultaneously uplifted and grounded, the perfect balance for a lifetime of love.